So you've got friends you text every day. You have family you see every holiday. Your phone is a constant buzz of notifications, likes, comments from people who, on the surface, make up your social life. You feel somewhat connected. But what if that feeling is a bit of an illusion? What if the sense of closeness you have with the people you care about is more of an assumption rather than a reality? There's a simple science-backed psychological tool that can cut through all of the noise. It reveals the real measurable strength of your bonds in a way that's really hard to ignore. In the next few minutes, we're going to walk through it together, and by the end, you might see your relationships in a whole new light. Let's be honest, in a world of digital friends and curated feeds, the line between an acquaintance and a confidant has gotten incredibly blurry. We've collected so many more connections than any generation in history, and yet we're also reporting the highest rates of loneliness. How is that possible? It's because we've started to mistake the quantity of our interactions for quality of our bonds. A daily kind of meme trading streak or sending daily TikTok videos isn't the same as a monthly heart-to-heart, face-to-face, you just kind of bearing yourself to someone else. A happy birthday on a social media wall doesn't carry the same weight as a call when you're having a bad day. This isn't to say social media is all bad. Research shows that for many, especially those who feel isolated or have social anxiety, online connections can be a very vital source of support. The difference is how often it comes down to how we use it. Actively building relationships versus passively scrolling. The danger is when we get tricked by the kind of superficial signals of social activity. It creates this illusion of being surrounded, but you're fundamentally alone. And this is where it gets interesting. For decades, psychologists have studied what separates superficial ties from the deep, meaningful bonds that will ultimately genuinely improve our lives. They've all established that closeness isn't just a feeling. It is a measurable psychological thing. So while there are incredibly detailed assessments that are used in clinical therapy, we can use a tool that is shockingly simple, yet very revealing. It's called the Inclusion of Other in the Self scale, or the IOS scale. It was developed by psychologists as a quick visual way to capture the essence of a bond. It's a single question, a series of 7 diagrams of 2 circles, one for you and then one for another person. In the first, the circles are far apart. In the last, they almost completely overlap. Your task is to pick the image that best represents your relationship. It's primarily a research tool, not a formal diagnostic test, but it is perfect for kind of a moment of self-reflection. But just picking a diagram isn't the whole exercise. The real insight comes from understanding why you pick one over the other. The true strength of your relationships is defined by three fundamental pillars. So before we look at those circles, let's take an honest look at someone in your life through the lens of these 3 pillars. Think of one person right now, a friend, a family member, a partner, and hold them in your mind as we go. To really get what closeness means, we have to break it down. Based on decades of research, a true connection is a structure built on 3 critical pillars: the frequency of your contact, the diversity of your shared lives, and the mutual influence you both have on each other. So let's see how your chosen relationship stacks up. First, ask yourself, how often do you truly connect with this person? And I don't mean this passive, low effort things like sending TikTok videos or Instagram videos, tagging them in a video, seeing their story, or being in the same group chat. Those are signs of social awareness, but not real depth. And I want you to think of very active, intentional contact. When was the last time you had a real-time conversation where you were both fully present? How often do you share something with them? Not because an algorithm suggested it, but because a genuine thought of them crossed your mind and you acted on it. Research consistently shows that closeness is strongly tied to the frequency of interaction. Bonds, like muscles, atrophy without use. That means they break down. A friendship that once felt inseparable can fade into a very pleasant memory simply from a lack of consistent effort, and that effort has to come from both sides. Life gets busy, people move, priorities shift, but the relationships that last are the ones where both people make a conscious effort to bridge the gap. So think about the person you have in mind. Is your connection an ongoing kind of conversation or a series of disconnected moments separated by long stretches of silence? Do you proactively reach out, or do you wait for an event like a birthday, a holiday, a chance encounter to bring you guys together? Be honest. Frequency doesn't mean talking every single day. Honestly, that would be kind of exhausting. But it does mean that the connection is alive, it's active, and it's maintained with sincere, deliberate effort from both sides. It's the difference between a plant you water regularly and one you hope will survive on rainwater alone. Which one is your relationship? So next, let's move on to the second pillar. What do you actually do together? A lot of relationships exist in a box. You have work friends, you have church friends, you have people that are your gym buddies, you have your going out crew for like a fun Saturday night. But these relationships are great, but they're actually very limited. The bond is tied to a single thing, a single context. True, deep closeness is marked by a variety of shared activities. This means your relationship thrives across multiple contexts, multiple places, multiple hobbies. With this person, do you only have fun, or can you also be serious? Do you just talk about ideas, or do you also help each other with practical problems like building an IKEA piece or moving boxes or, I don't know, helping them find a new hair salon? Just practical problems. Do you share moments of high energy, kind of celebration, and moments of silent reflection, just comfortable silence? Both of those are very important because you're not always going to be celebrating in high energy all the time, and you're not always going to be quiet and silent all the time. When a relationship breaks out of its box, it deepens greatly, exponentially. And sharing a wide range of activities means that you see different sides of each other. You may not have known that they were so creative if you didn't go to a paint and sip class with them, if they were just your gym buddy. You may not have seen how caring they are or known the depth of their caring had you not gone to volunteer together. These are just examples from my own life, but you get what I mean. Doing a wide range of activities means you get to really, really learn that person and see all sides of them. You see how they handle stress, how they express joy, how they treat strangers. That's a big one for me. How they act when they're tired, how they act when they don't have much gas left in the tank. You are, in effect, sharing more of your lives, more of yourselves, and each new kind of experience and scenario adds on to kind of their personality and your experience with them. Adding each new experience almost kind of ties you guys together with a stronger with another thread to make a long cord of friendship. It makes the bond stronger. A single thread will snap very easily, but a cord woven from dozens of threads, from shared laughter, struggles, adventures, or even just being bored, is incredibly strong. So look at the person you're thinking of right now. Is your relationship a single thread of connection tied to a single activity like the gym? Or is it a thick, multi-threaded cord? If they suddenly vanish from that one place that you share, like the library or the gym, would the relationship still exist? This answer reveals how much of your bond is based on genuine closeness versus simple convenience. So this brings us to our final and most profound pillar. Do you genuinely change each other? And can you truly be seen? This pillar combines two powerful concepts: influence and then self-disclosure. So let's start with influence. In the closest relationships, two people start to merge a little bit. Their thoughts, habits, and even their kind of sense of self begin to overlap and leak into each other. Have you ever noticed that when you really get to hanging out with a friend a lot, you start to pick up their mannerisms and say things that they normally would say, talk how they talk, say their inside jokes all the time? This isn't about losing your identity. It's about expanding it to include someone else. So ask yourself, does this person's opinion genuinely matter when you make a big decision? Do you find yourself using their phrases or seeing the world their way? I know for me, I have a really, really good friend that I got close to in college, and I really like the way that her mind works. I really like the way she sees the world. I like the way when she's making something, her creative joys flow, or her creative juices flow. So sometimes when I'm stuck trying to think of something to make a video about or something to create, because I like to do that just to kind of reduce my stress, I kind of sometimes just say like, okay, what would she do? What would she say in this situation? And then I'll usually call her and say, what would you do in this situation? And it typically matches up with what I thought. But that's one big thing that I know that this person is very close to me, because normally I don't think about those kinds of things with people I'm not close with. So another thing is, does their happiness bring you real joy? And does their pain cause you real pain? If you, unfortunately, I do see a lot of pain with my job, but I also see a lot of happiness. But there's a special kind of feeling when someone you really love loses. I have another friend who unfortunately is plagued with so many misfortunes. She doesn't even I don't know why, but she's had a really hard life. And seeing her in pain makes me feel pain. So this is another example of like, okay, yeah, this person really is close to me and I value our friendship and she values mine, because when I'm suffering, she knows and she doesn't like it. And when she's suffering, I know. And I also am like affected by that. So that's another big kind of indicator. But most importantly, is the relationship a two-way street? Do you feel like you have the same impact on them? This mutual influence is a very powerful sign that your lives aren't just parallel, they are truly intertwined. And that's very special. Influence can only happen with the second component, vulnerability. You cannot be influenced by a version of someone that isn't real. And true closeness is impossible without self-disclosure or the willingness to kind of show your authentic self, flaws and all. Can you talk to this person about your insecurities, your fears, your ugliest moments without fearing judgment from them? And do they offer you the same in return? Most of us kind of perform a carefully curated version of ourselves. I know I am very good at that. And sometimes I'm just unknowingly do it. We show the image of a perfect, competent employee, the fun friend who doesn't care what she says, the very supportive family member that never says no. But real intimacy happens when you let that all just go. Just let it go, let it drop. It is showing the messy, uncertain, and imperfect person behind the mask that was so carefully made and still being met with acceptance, still being loved. It's the ability to say, I am not okay, and trusting that the person hearing it will hold that information with care and treat you with care. So think about your person. Do they know the real you or just the representative you send out to public? And when you're in a crisis, are they on the short list of people you know you'd be able to call? And when they're in a crisis, do they call you? In the landscape of your life, is this person just a tourist passing through? Or have they helped you build the house that you live in? Now, let's kind of go back to the circles. You've held a person in your mind. You've measured your relationship against the 3 pillars: frequency, diversity, and vulnerability. You now have a much clearer, more honest picture of your bond than you did a few minutes ago. And now it's time to choose. Look at these 7 pairs of circles. The first, where they are totally separate, represents strangers. The last, with almost total overlap, represents the deepest possible closeness, where someone has become a fundamental part of who you are. Based on your reflection, which pair of circles honestly represents the relationship between you and the person you were thinking of? Point to it and say the number. If you choose one of the last 2 images with major overlap, that is a powerful sign of a truly deep and resilient bond. This is likely someone you have integrated into multiple parts of your life, who you connect with consistently, and whose presence genuinely shapes who you are. This is the kind of connection that research shows is vital for our long-term health and happiness. One thing that I truly want you guys to check out is, I'm not sure if it's still up there, but there is a Netflix documentary referencing these like blue zones and basically how someone can live a long life and be healthy. And one of the major things in order to do that is a long-term connection or community that actually helps kind of shape who you are and provides a stable environment for your mind and flourishes your mind. So I do recommend that you check that out because I think it kind of ties into this. For many of you, the circle you honestly chose might be smaller than you expected. You might have thought of someone you call a best friend or a close sibling, yet found yourself pointing to a diagram with only a slight overlap, or maybe just barely touching. If that's you, take a breath. This isn't a grade or a final judgment or assignment. It is simply a diagnosis. It is a moment of clarity. And seeing that gap, the space between your circles, is the most important first step that you can take. It is an invitation. It tells you that the connection you have is real, but it has the potential to be so much more. And the question is, are you willing to do the work to close that gap? Because true connection isn't found, it's built. So if you looked at those circles and felt a pang of disappointment, that's a good sign. It means you value the person and the relationship enough to want more. And a diagnosis is useless without a prescription. And fortunately, the same science that helps us measure our closeness also gives us a clear blueprint for creating it. So, drawing on kind of the insights from this world-renowned relationship expert like Dr. John Gottman, we can think of this as building a house from the foundation up. Everything starts here. A bid for connection is any attempt one person makes to get attention, affirmation, or just affection from one another. It can be as small as saying, "Wow, look at that sunset," or as big as, "I had a really tough day." These are the micro moments that make or break relationships. In Dr. Gottman's studies, he found that pairs who stayed happily married turned towards these bids 86% of the time, while those who later divorced did only so about 33% of the time. So turning towards is simple. It's looking up from your phone when they speak. It's saying, "Tell me more," instead of, It's engaging with their attempt to connect. Your prescription is to become a detective for bids. For the next week, your only job with this person is to notice every bid they make and turn towards it with your full attention. And this builds the foundation of trust. So once the foundation is solid, you build the rooms. So Dr. Gottman calls this building love maps. And this is basically just learning the intricate details of each other's inner worlds. This directly tackles a lack of vulnerability and influence. You can't be influenced by someone you don't even know. So your prescription is to become a better interviewer. Go beyond, "How was your day?" and ask bigger, more meaningful and open-ended questions like, "What's something you're excited about lately? What's a challenge you're facing that I might not know about? What's one of your favorite memories from before we met?" And crucially, being willing to answer those same questions yourself is very important. This is an active kind of self-disclosure. Schedule a time to talk, distraction-free, put your phones down, and just practice the art of asking and revealing. This builds the emotional intimacy that lets your circle start to overlap. So next, we are going to diversify your activities. And this directly addresses the second pillar. If your relationship is stuck in the gym, you have to actively break it out. Strong relationships are built on a whole portfolio of shared experiences. Your prescription is to plan new adventures. Sit down with this person and make a list of the things you could do together that fall outside of your normal routine. If you're work friends, plan a weekend hike. If you're party friends, try a quiet night in, cooking dinner together. And if you're a couple stuck in a routine of chores and TV, sign up for a class, pottery, dancing, anything that forces you to be beginners together. This intentionally weaves new threads into your relationship, strengthening the overall bond. Finally, every strong house needs a roof that can withstand a storm. Many people think that conflict is a sign of weak connection, but Science shows that it's the complete opposite. A lack of conflict often means you aren't close enough to disagree. The key is to not avoid conflict, but to manage it constructively. Your prescription is to change your goal in disagreements. The goal isn't to win. The goal is to understand. Use phrases like, help me understand why you feel that way, instead of, here's why you're wrong. Focus on the problem, not the person. Of course, relationship strategies aren't a one-size-fits-all. There are different cultural backgrounds and individual needs that will shape how we interact with other people. But learning to navigate disagreements without damaging the underlying intimacy is what protects the entire structure you guys have built. And ensuring that when the storms come, and they will, that your house remains standing. And finally, make this a practice, a routine. The healthiest relationships involve routine check-ins. So try using the circle test as a monthly touch point and ask each other, where are our circles this month? Have they moved closer or further apart? This simple ritual keeps you both conscious and intentional about the quality of your connection. The distance you feel between yourself and the people you care about isn't a life sentence. It is a choice, and true, deep connection isn't about something that you fall into. It's an active, ongoing process of building. It's the conscious decision to turn towards bids, to explore each other's inner worlds, and to share new experiences, and to handle disagreements with grace. It is the practice of daily choosing to close the gap between your circle and theirs. So I want to hear from you. What is one relationship habit of yours you'd like to change or better understand? Or share a moment you realized a friendship was truly deep. Let's learn from each other in the comments below. So I hope this video helped you. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and want to see more like it, please go to my channel, look through my playlist. I'm trying to hit all the major kind of topics that involve relationships. So if you're interested in anything, feel free to look around. Have a wonderful night, and then I'll see you next time. Bye.